Hello, everyone. Welcome to Just Shelve It. My name is Jesse Arnold, and this is Shooting the Shelf, my Sunday night weekly show where I have a nice chat with a friend who is into collecting some sort of thing, whether it's action figures, movies, music, something, whatever it is. I've got stuff to say to people and want to hear what they have to say. So, thanks for joining me here on the shelf tonight. I have a very special guest joining me tonight, Matthew Duch, who is the host, one of the hosts of the Legends of Grayskull podcast, which has been going on for a couple weeks now. I think they might catch on at some point, maybe get some fans over there. But Matt is a lot of fun to talk with. I get to join him and Sean on their Off-Worlds, the subset of Legends of Grayskull, when we talk about other stuff. So he was really the first person that ever brought me into the official podcasting type stuff. So that's always been fun to hang out with him. So now I'm bringing him onto this show tonight, and he's coming into my territory. We're going to see how that goes with all of this. But thanks all for joining me tonight. We're going to talk about a range of topics, and between toys, action figures, movie shows, and what have you. We will get into Mythic Legions a little bit, but please give a warm digital round of applause for my guest tonight, Matt Duch. Welcome to the shelf.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of Legends of Grayskull, the fan podcast where we discuss the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of He-Man.
Nope. Wrong show.
Do I really have to? Oh.
Shit. Thank you for the energy, though. That was a thing.
Wait, what are we doing tonight?
This is my show. This is my show, Shooting the Shelf.
What's going on here? I'm so confused.
You're usually in the driver's chair. Tonight, you get to relax and just enjoy the scenery.
I did not have to press any buttons. I am just here in Jesse's land. This is actually kind of nice. I'm going to make you and Sean start doing a little bit more over and Off-World there. I'm just going to start sitting back and coasting.
Well, I mean, you have to schedule the next one in order for me to do more.
That would help. Yes. Sean's a very busy man. He's hard to pin down.
Yes, he is.
Oh, how are we doing tonight, Jesse?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself? How's your weekend?
It was good. We had I worked yesterday, but we had football today. So my son's Pop Warner team is still undefeated, 6-0. So very good, very proud of them. And it's been a fun day. So I don't know why you let Curtis Ackerman in here. That man is a menace to society.
There's a very short list of people I would let in here. Not let in here, I should say.
There you go. Oh.
Cool. Yesterday was busy chores and whatnot. Today was busy working on custom stuff for Legions Con. So that's been fun.
It's coming up quick too.
Man,
Yes.
Curtis with the zingers tonight.
Well, the thing is, I didn't realize how tight StreamYard is.
I could widen it up a little bit.
Yeah, see, we got a little bit more here. There's some stuff going on. I got some pictures. That's my youngest boy there. That's my older boy when he was a baby. Fell asleep on the couch. See, Curtis, I'm not in a refrigerator box. I wasn't prepared for the extreme close up.
Well, apparently, I don't know if I got dooched or if
you
got dooched.
Everybody in the tri-state area got dooched.
I heard you get passed from coast to coast, but
yes, that's something. That's my cousin. That's close though. I do like though. Number one, the fact that this is now, thanks to the shows and the Facebooks and all that, this is now the largest group of people that has ever known how to say my last name correctly in my life. So that's awesome. And then also the fact that it is now becoming an adjective and a verb. I really like. I need to keep this branding going here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Yeah, it's good times.
Yes. Speaking of good times, I believe you received a box in the mail this week.
I do have a very large package.
Whoa, this is a family-friendly show, Matt. Come on.
Oh, well, then we'll just skip to the box instead. So, I got a package earlier in the week from Jesse. And this is some stuff that he had worked on for me. As many of you know, or don't know, I am into Mythic Legions. Kind of trying to stay away from the aftermarket guys. Probably should open this from the top so this looks easier. So at some time ago, I sent Jesse a Mythic, and I believe the instructions that I gave to you were make it a Thistlethorn that's not Thistlethorn. Is that accurate, Jesse?
That's pretty much verbatim what you said, I believe.
Yes. Jesse asked for a little bit more guidance, and
you said no.
I said no. Not only did I say no, I also said I do not want any updates as he works on it. So he has worked on it. He has finished it. He has sent it to me. I have never seen anything other than the Mythic that I sent to him.
I have shown the stuff I painted to a couple people just to get some feedback and thoughts on it. So some people have seen it, but yes, you were technically the first person to commission a figure from me. But Douglas Tupper, he had one that needed done much faster. Like he had a timeline to give it as a gift. So technically yours is the first, but second completed.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Top 5, baby. Top 5
on episode 9 of Shooting the Shelve.
I was gonna let it go, but you had to bring up those old wounds there.
I mean,
so
I'm sorry. Here, I'm gonna let you go full screen here.
So let's see here what I got. And actually, first I'm gonna pull out the other piece that I sent him, which I sent him an Origin Stridor, which I said to make it look like it fit into Mythics. So let's grab that first. Box is the same. Let's see where Jesse up to.
I don't think I taped it shut.
No, you didn't. I was just seeing which side you did.
Okay.
So again, very little instruction, and I've seen nothing of it. Oh wow, that is a great color scheme there. I love the metallics you did on that. Oh, there we go.
Ah, cool.
So yeah, that turned out real nice there. Brought it a bit more down. I think reality is the word I used to bring it a little bit more like a realistic war mount. So I like they kind of went like a military pearlescent green there. That's a really cool color choice. Black legs. I love that.
Nice. And the silver is repainted. It is not the same silver that it came as for the head and the back.
Yeah, no, it looks more down to earth, less plasticky now. So,
and I pulled all the
nice
stickers off. I'd originally intended to put the stickers back on, and then I just thought they looked very.
No, they would have looked out of place.
So I tried to hide the sticker areas with some other stuff. Scalevator made it. Welcome.
Curtis, I am ignoring all of your comments. Just I've seen all your comments, Curtis, and
he did say
you're trying really hard.
He said very steampunk, which I believe was the only other word you really used to describe the horse.
Steampunk. That's what it was, because you go in Mythic Legions with a robotic horse. Steampunk is definitely a way to go. All right, now got the alternate head.
Yeah, I didn't do anything to that.
Got the shield, the crossbow, very nice gold colors. Oh, yeah. Ooh, baby. You twist item back in. Hang on. All right. Oh, wow, Jesse. You knocked this thing out of the park. It does not even... You wouldn't even guess it was a Mephitor to begin with. So, yeah, he kept it in kind of the same vein, actually. The nice green, silver. I love what you did with the head there. Very woodland creature. And I find it amazing, your paint work and the Four Horsemen sculpt, how like all of that details, and I know my camera's not doing a great job of focusing on his head, but all that details in the head there, you don't see as much of it as Mephitor, but like with those light paints, it really brings it out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna go with straight ferret coloring on that one, and
ferret, thank you. That's the animal I was looking for. I couldn't think
Yep.
of its name though. I was picturing it. But very nice. So yeah, I told Jesse I wanted a fuzz monk for my shelf, but I didn't just want a carbon copy Thistlethorn. Especially the way the horseman trots stuff out at shows and whatnot, there's definitely a chance I can get him at some point. But yeah, this guy's gonna look great on the shelf. He's very nicely done.
cool. Oh, I'm glad you. Yeah, I wanted to do the green, and then since Thistlethorn has more like that bronzy copper color, I thought I'd go silver on him to have him visually stand out in the armor and stuff. So
And there's a sword, but it's
Yep.
awkwardly taped, so I'm gonna leave it there for the moment.
it wouldn't stay back in on its own, so I had to tape it.
There you go. Okay. I'm not gonna mess with it right now. But yes. Now, did you come up with a name for him while you were working on him?
I did not. I couldn't remember if you wanted to do something. I have some stuff rumbling around my head, but I don't have it available to spout out right now.
Gotcha. He
Like
is
the
he is the unnamed fuzzmonk, right?
So I figured I'd let you open him up, and if you had a name for him, if something landed for you, we'd roll with that. But if you don't have something, I'll give you something.
I thought we were trying to stay away from innuendos tonight.
I mean, look.
That's what we got.
Yeah. It is. It just happens. You bring out the worst in me.
The best part is that my son's sitting like right on the other side of the camera too. So he was very excited to see what Jesse sent over. So
very cool.
I don't know how the crossbow's supposed to go into his hand. It's a really weird handle on that.
Yeah, I tried to. I have not painted a lot of stuff other than heads for that I've had to like seal, so I don't know how bad the paint rub's going to be on those. So I apologize if that happens. But I tried to seal them up without being able to spray paint them.
Yeah, and I mostly pose, so we should be good. Man, I wish everyone could see it as well as I can too, because I don't even think the camera's really doing him justice. I'm gonna have to get some good pictures of him. You really outdid yourself on this armor and everything, Jesse.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice.
I'm glad you like it.
Going on the shelf. After we're done shooting the shelf.
Yes, Curtis, not a zinger. He's saying he wishes they would come up with a crossbow with a pistol, and then he followed up with grip. So pistol grip, yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, that's a really weird grip on there. I had never known. I haven't displayed anybody with a crossbow before, so that's,
okay.
That is a weird thing. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do that, but I'll figure it out.
The way I pose it, my Mephitor is around the corner. I have it in the lead hand, so he's holding it here, and the back hand is just kind of reaching back to grip the back, almost like the front hand is the one actually aiming it and everything. The back hand just pulls the release.
I kind of wish the Horseman would come out with like with actual like old muskets, and the old like pirate pistols, the big, I can't think of a better word for it. I know there is one though.
The flintlock?
Yeah, like the flintlock pistol.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like I think that's within the realm of mythics.
I mean, maybe down the road. I hope we stay away from that stuff for a little while. What's up, Dan?
What, you don't like pirates?
No, pirates are fine. I just think firearms drastically changes the landscape. And
what about cannons? You go to because cannons are a traditional siege weapon. I mean, that's gunpowder and all that. Like,
not in the time that mythics would be.
How do you know? It's not our world.
Trebuchets, catapults, ballistas, that sort of thing, sure, but not maybe some mortars, but like that's still like gunpowder didn't make it to at least Europe and stuff until much later. Anyway,
but we're in mythos.
Mathator or Duchipus?
Duchipus sounds like something the doctor tells you have, and you start making your last will and testament. I'm sorry, sir, but you have Duchipus. Oh man, I got a month, doc.
I knew it ran in the family, but
I didn't think it'd be me.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoy that. They were fun to work on. I did all those colorful fuzzbunks, but I've liked doing the more kind of like realistic on that one. I think after I finished the head and put it on the body, I think I texted you. I was like, "You're not getting this back. I want to keep it."
There should be something else in here, shouldn't there? We have all Stridor's pieces.
Yeah, that he should have the reins and the two helmets. He's missing the blast effects and the fence. I forgot to
I think you gypped me, Jesse.
What did I forget?
I believe I won a little contest on an earlier shooting the shelf.
You did.
I did. I'm sorry, guys. I broke Jesse.
Crap.
I can't even remember what pieces I won, but there was something. There was a head.
Was it the Fury Goblin heads?
Yeah, it's the Fury Goblins. Yep. That was it.
Man,
I just got Arnold. Did Arnold did?
No, not.
No.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right.
You're good. I'm just giving you shit.
No, wait. Are they in there?
I mean, they might be down in there somewhere. They're not.
Okay.
I'll dig deeper.
Off on the side, like to put with your box, but I must have moved them since then. I am really sorry. I'll find those out and.
All right, my son did pull out real quick comparison here. He ran and got our actual Stridor. If you want to widen me back out, that'd probably be the easiest way to show them side by side.
Yes.
Just to show how much work Jesse did on him. So yeah, definitely a really cool repaint.
I gotta say, my favorite part is the little like grease oil that's dripping out of the ovals under where he sits, where you put the rider.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. Very nice. Let's see. Yeah, he's got little like those are like exhaust ports, and there's little bits of smudge and oil there. And then also the masks that Jesse did up. Here is the production one.
Yeah, that piece is way more detailed than that figure deserves to be.
I almost want, because obviously, this one is modeled after his vintage piece, but then this one is a new one that they came up with to give to Night Stalker actually during the Classics line.
Okay.
And then when Classics came out with Stridor, since they'd already made this for Night Stalker, they just included it in Stridor colors.
Okay.
So I'm almost, and I don't have the Classics versions, but I'm almost wondering if this is just the Classics version repurposed for this line. Like maybe they didn't even sculpt the new one. They literally just used it. Because like you said, it is incredibly detailed.
This is a custom to happen in the future, but it fits very snugly on the Aethon head.
Yeah, no, that's that you showed me that before the show, and it looks absolutely amazing. I can't believe how well that fits on there with like nothing done to it. Ready to go.
Awesome.
The metallics are awesome. So yeah, very,
I'll find
very
those,
cool work.
I'll find those Fury Goblin heads I painted and get them out to you soon.
So first you gave away my episode, then you stole my Stridor gate, and now you're holding my Furies hostage. So
what can I say?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm worried.
I'm a thief.
He's a thief. Good times.
Thank you for that. The Stridor was a challenge just because there was nothing to like be able to. I couldn't figure out how to take it apart without breaking it.
Right. No,
so,
you did amazing.
But it was a fun challenge to figure out how to do that and make it fit.
My son's enjoying it very much.
Excellent.
Oh, very good. Very good.
All right. So, normally on Legends of Grayskull, you guys talk about He-Man and all the worlds of Masters of the Universe. And then when I join you for Off Worlds, we talk about usually a specific show or movie at the moment. Tonight,
Truth.
We've got a variety of things to talk about.
Well, he probably wants me to take the reins because this is kind of my brain nugget. Like he said, one of the things we really like to, we talk a lot about stuff we grew up with, stuff that's currently going on. And to me, it's just kind of interesting just tracking that. Like Jesse, when you were growing up, say, between the ages of like your preteen, 5 to like 12, like what were your shows?
5 to 12. So 5 would have still been like 84. So it would have been Transformers, He-Man. For me, I also anything. Don't worry, Curtis. We're not going to talk about Andor. We're not going to talk about Andor. I have not watched it yet.
I have not. I don't know how you can make a whole show about one moon, but whatever.
So anything
it seems like it's kind of boring. It's like the moon's still there. Oh, now it's kind of over here. Half moon, waxing, waning.
I mean, technically, the system is Endor, and the moon is just the moon of the planet Endor. So that would be like, the forest moon of Earth. It's not called Earth, but it's the forest moon that belongs to Earth. So anyway, I would watch shows.
See, I could have sworn. Hang on. Granted, I'm going completely off memory now, but I could have sworn they said, when they're on the Rebel ship Jedi, they said the forest moon Endor.
Of Endor.
Okay, so then why do the Ewoks have a movie entitled Battle for Endor?
I don't know.
It's actually a really good movie if you've never seen it.
I have seen it.
I like it. But...
Because Battle for the Forest Moon of Endor is too long? It was for kids.
I suppose.
So, speaking of kids, anything that involved animal characters or talking animals, that was like my draw to shows as a kid. So I watched stuff. I watched like the Care Bears. Yes, I'm not afraid to admit I did watch My Little Pony.
Yep.
I
They
watched
had
Shirt Tales. Of course, DuckTales, Chippendales Rescue Rangers. That was that's closer to the 12. The other end of that time frame. But all that stuff. Like I said, He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe.
So, first off, I have watched My Little Pony. I won't say that I watched it religiously. However, I do recall that there was like this like really epic 5-parter with like an evil goat that was pretty cool. I was like, all right, like I can get behind. Like he like tore up the pony land and stuff. Like I hope I'm just misremembering like a fever dream, but
no, there was definitely a mini series, a mini episode arc or whatever that like went.
Yeah.
Like 80s cartoons weren't afraid to be like, oh, okay, yeah, everything's bright and fun. Here's the death episodes, like
right. So even using that, right? So we like He-Man was episodic. It was also one of the earliest tunes. That's the other thing, like because it lasted so long throughout the 80s, I think a lot of people forget like how early it really was. I mean, it was 83 when Filmation premiered. Transformers was like 85 or 86, right? Like that's
84.
Was it 84 when
I think so.
But even so, it ran 3 seasons. So and not to go into a huge history lesson and bore everybody, but with He-Man being one of the first, once those regulations were lifted where you could take these toy properties and make shows about them. Like it had to tread a finer line. But even so, you saw the transition throughout the 80s, right? And this is kind of what I was talking about with Jesse beforehand was like He-Man was purely episodic. You had 1 2-parter in the whole thing. Everything else was beginning, middle, end, reset. Beginning, middle, end, reset. Then Transformers comes along. It's a little bit more. My Little Pony, they start to have little mini series and stuff. Like I remember, like you said, even in the 90s, because obviously you're a little older than I am, like, getting into Tailspin. Tailspin, I remember a 5-parter where they were the pyramids and those bells that they had to collect or stop the bad guys from collecting. Like they start getting into this stuff where it's like, we can have this week-long adventure. Thundercats, they had 4 of them? I mean, even New Adventures of He-Man, they had 3 separate 5-episode story arcs, that whole week adventure. And to me, growing up, once we hit kind of that sweet spot of like the early 90s, I was feeling like, oh my God, like this is grown-up stuff. You know what I mean? Like we're getting into serious situations now. Whole week adventures, big changes to status quo, Sword of Omens breaking, stuff like that. Like that just blows your kid mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'll be honest, like I don't know if I was the most observant child to that sort of thing. Like I don't think I ever caught on to how episodic He-Man was because it just was. I do remember Growing Pains, one episode they got a dog and then you never saw the dog again, and I was always confused about that. But then I know we'll get into this a little bit, but like Gargoyles was one that like when I first realized like, oh, they're like,
that was the big one.
That was like the first time I was really aware of like the world building and continuing a narrative and stuff.
And the long game, right?
Yeah.
Like that one had stuff that I didn't even understand because Gargoyles was one that I don't know why I didn't catch it a lot. But then rewatching it now, and this is stuff that as a kid I would not have been able to put into this kind of perspective. It's looking back, it's subconsciously, right? Like I just kind of felt that way. and then now looking back, I'm like, all right, like this is kind of where my mindset was. But yeah, so then you get into Spider-Man the animated series, Gargoyles, X-Men. I know you don't care for X-Men. I don't know how you feel about the Spider-Man 90s
I
show.
didn't really watch it.
But they did the, it was very comic booky. They did like, the different story arcs. The comic book, where a comic book would be 5 or 6 issues to a story, it was 5 or so episodes to a story. They did Venom in the multi-part story. They did, Sins of the Fathers, and like there was all these things where it's like you had to tune in constantly, and there was, yes, the theme music, absolutely. To this day, you just play that, and it's X-Men. But like, and stuff mattered. Morph got killed in the first episode. I won't say he necessarily stayed dead, but it had a lasting impact. Actually, one of the things that did tick me off about X-Men was I really liked Beast, and he wound up in prison in like the first episode and was there. It felt like forever as a kid, and in reality, it was probably just the first season, but like he was in prison for a while, and they cut back to him with like his appeal and stuff, and like, especially like they were building real world issues as X-Men is known to do. But I guess to me, it's like, so growing up with all that, right? Like we ran the gamut. Those of us born in the late 70s, early 80s, like we got to see this whole progression of storytelling. To the point, like, I mean, you even look at the prime time shows of the day back then, some of those weren't even doing it to the degree. Like you said, sitcoms.
Yeah.
Right? They get a dog. We'd never see it again. They take in some homeless person at Christmas. We'd never see them again.
Yeah.
Everything just kind of had that reset mentality. Even the majority of the adult shows were that way. Or, Columbo, he had his case. Next episode, he had another case. Like it never, in the grand scheme of things, it never mattered. It never trickled into like, oh, he's still dealing with it. No, we finished that. That was last episode.
Yeah.
So to kind of get to that point, and I guess that's my big thing is like nowadays, skipping ahead, everything is serial. You've got to watch She-Hulk. Like you've got to watch episode 1 to episode, what are they going to, 8?
Yeah.
You've got Hawkeye. You've got to watch it all the way through. And I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are on that now. The stage where we're at now, where it seems like everything is the serial, and there's nothing you can just pop on.
I think there's a balance to be found, and I'll go back to the first show, and I didn't catch it until years into it. Was X-Files. I think they had a nice balance of their mythology episodes and their monster episodes, or their mystery of the week episodes. So where like you could have like the Fluke Man, yes, or one of those random one-offs where here's just this random thing, but then you had the bigger running thing with the and the cigarette smoking man and all that stuff. They were, but even the individual ones, they might not have played into the mythology, but like the relationships between the characters progressed through all those, and I think that was the first time I was really aware of it. And then I got into stuff like what was like Alias, and then Lost and House. Like, I mean, that was much later in the
where it's all
stuff, but like,
well, to go on your point too, like, for me, kind of the coming of age stuff, right? We put away the tunes and everything. for me, it was more in the Smallville and the Supernatural era, and same kind of thing, right? I felt that was a good balance where the early seasons, I'll say, because I think in the later seasons, they seem to abandon all that, right? Like first season Supernatural, first few seasons were amazing because you would have the, monster of the week, monster of the week, monster of the week. Oh, Yellow Eyes Demon and the dad. What's that about? Oh, nope, we lost him. All right, monster of the week, monster of the week. And then it comes back. Or you even had the little recurring character, sticking in Supernatural. I don't know how much you watched it, but there was an FBI agent in the early seasons that was on their trail. And he'd pop up randomly. And that was a lot of fun. Oh, this guy actually comes back, not just disappears after the one episode. No, he's still hunting them or whatever, yeah, and so that was a lot of fun where it's and then towards the end of the season, you knew they were going to get into a string of episodes that is just wrapping up whatever the season long narrative was. Sure. And I still feel that is kind of the perfect balance for me, where it's okay, sometimes I can just jump in, but there's still an overarching mythology where you're not feeling where'd the dog go? I think that's going to be my new phrase for this. Where'd the dog go? I can't believe it. Yeah, Curtis, you have Duch all over your face right now. All over.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, honestly, and I saw Anru. Thank you. I assume he's referring to X-Men, that it was just the first season with Beast in prison. But as a, what's that, 92? As a 7-8-year-old, that felt like forever. When you're coming from shows, like I said, like He-Man, where it's at best it's an episode or a two-parter. That's a whole season with a character actually being stuck in prison. Who does that? Comics do it. And that's why, regardless of what Jesse thinks, I still think it's a very, I won't say it's a very faithful adaptation, but it's a very good comic book series.
Fair enough.
There we go.
I don't dislike it enough to argue about it. I just didn't enjoy it. I think because it was part of me was a comic book art snob at that point already.
Sure.
And everything was so different. And I was but the comics look so good. Why can't they do the art better? And then when I discovered Gargoyles, part of what really drew me into it was how much more interesting. And it wasn't every episode, every sequence, but there were elements of that show that just really had amazing animation that really stuck out to me.
Oh, for sure.
And I didn't really watch Supernatural, but I totally agree. Smallville, the first couple seasons, I did like that. It was kind of like X-Files too, where,
right.
There was kind of the monster of the week and then it culminated in something. But then, I don't know, season 4 or 5, they started doing the villain of the season. And that.
Right. And it would just
did not interest me as much.
Right, because they kept how many times can you go? It's not as bad when the villain emerges towards the end of the season, but when it's every episode's I'm this close to beating. Oh, you gotta wait.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. But so now getting into modern day, it seems and I'm assuming it's because we're at an age where the guys like us are the guys making the calls on a lot of this stuff. Or if they're not making they're at least show running or producing, or you know what I mean? They're presenting to, maybe they're not the heads of studios yet, but they're very influential. And so now it feels like we're at a point where everything is serial. And I'm kind of getting exhausted trying to take in all this stuff. Because it's not like you can just pop on and watch a couple episodes of Andor. You can't just pop on a couple episodes of She-Hulk. It's that thing where it's if I start it, I feel like I have to finish it,
Yeah, I really enjoy that, but I totally understand what you're saying. There are shows Like I started watching The Flash. I got a couple seasons into it, and I was like, I'm not enjoying this enough to spend the time to get through the season anymore. So I'm like, I don't have to. If I'm not enjoying it, I don't have to keep watching it. It's TV. I can turn it off. I can do something else. It's not like I'm abandoning a family member or a friend in need or something like that, you know? So when that kind of clicked for me, it was easier to walk away from stuff I wasn't enjoying anymore. But I do like the longer form narrative, but like going back to like X-Files and even Gargoyles, there were things where there would be like mini arcs, or there'd be like the one-off episode here and there between the larger story. So, you know, but I like that bigger, more robust overall storytelling. But yes, with everything being that way, even a lot of sitcoms being that way now.
Right. Like you have to watch.
It means I watch less amounts of shows and just spend more time with the ones I actually like really, really like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It feels like there's nothing you can just throw on. Like, you know, you used to just be able to turn on an episode of Full House or Step by Step or whatever and like just watch it. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, like, all right, like if I want to throw something on, like maybe I'm just eating lunch, right? Like, and I don't want to get into anything. Like I'm throwing on old sitcoms or something or old cartoons, like because it's like I don't want to start something.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I will say, comparatively, I like the way like She-Hulk and then like 6 to 8 episodes, you know, tight and nice versus like you said, like especially Flash, all those CW shows, they went the same way, but they're still putting out like 20, 21, 22 episodes a season. And so it's like, all right, guys, like, come on. I was the same way. I watched every CW show. Like I watched Arrow. I watched Flash was my favorite I stuck with that one the longest, but I watched Supergirl. I watched Legends of Tomorrow, like because I felt like I was gonna miss something. And I got the same way where I'm like, I started falling behind on Legends. Like that was the one that broke me. Legends of Tomorrow. I was just like, I'm just, you know, and if you guys love it, great. But like for me, I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm just watching it because I'm worried that it's going to loop back and I'm going to need to know something. You know,
I'll tell you this.
They do the crossovers every year, but I'm like, I got to a point where I'm like, I can't do it. And then I watched that year's crossover without watching. I'm like, all right, I still followed everything, so I'm good. And that was a freeing moment for me.
I abandoned most of the CW shows. Like I only watched the first season of Arrow. I watched 2 or 3 seasons, or I was in the season 3 of The Flash, and I was like, this is just a slightly different version of the same story from the previous 2 seasons. It's just a different speedster bad guy.
Yeah.
I like
they definitely got into a rut, unfortunately. It was a great,
there was great parts of it.
Yeah.
They
really were the first show to really lean into comic books, I felt.
Yeah.
Like the first season, they had a little bit of growing pains where they weren't sure if they wanted to go full comic book. But then like second season, they're like, you know what? Forget it. And they brought like King Shark and everything out. Like, and then they're just like, let's do it. Beardy, Beardy and the Duch.
But
welcome identity theft is not a joke, Jim. He pops up on all our live streams too.
Well, I'm glad he stopped by tonight. But like, I just gave up on all the CW stuff, and then during quarantine, I watched the Crisis
on Infinite Earths. Oh my god!
Other than a couple of like developmental moments, I don't feel like I missed anything jumping into that because they gave me enough in those episodes. They're like, oh, that's who that character is. That's what that means. So,
and did you ever think that you would see such a wonderful adaptation of Crisis on Infinite Earths? I'm assuming you've read the comics.
Nope.
You haven't read the comics?
Nope.
Oh, but you know the basis of
it. I didn't really read DC until New 52.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I have read. I haven't followed everything. Trust me, I'm nowhere near even the the overall comic guy that you are, but like
I think I just hurt Curtis's feelings.
I I will say I've read Crisis. I've read most of like the big stories over the years, you know what I mean? Crisis on Infinite Earths was a spectacular miniseries, and CW did it so well. Like, I'm not gonna say it was perfect. It wasn't like a one-to-one adaptation, but excuse me, guys, them taking it and doing it. And honestly, that's what killed CW shows for me, because I was still watching Flash. I was down to just Flash and a little bit of Supergirl here and there. And then Crisis on Infinite Earths happened. I watched all that, and I have never felt a desire to go watch another CW superhero show, because that was such a great. I'm like, they can't top this. Like, this was such a great capstone on the whole series, all of the CW series. I felt like I'm good there. Like, they're not going to top. Like you said, I'm going to get back into Flash, and it's going to be who's the speedster this year, and all that. Like, honestly, that should have been their finale, and that's where I left it. I left the whole shebang there. So
yeah,
I agree, Curtis. They've done a lot of Crisis events now, but yeah, that first one, it's a must read. It is really well done.
I'll get to it eventually. I have a stack of comics. Like, if I put them all together, it'd probably be almost 2 feet tall of current stuff that I'm just so behind on. So, like, getting back to read older stuff at this point is, and working in a comic shop, yes, I should be ashamed of myself. I apologize. But growing up, hanging out with Sean, we got into X-Men, and then the Image stuff. Like, the DC art at that period of time just did not appeal to me. And that's what was drawing me to the comics, was the art. If the story was good, that made it better. But if the art, I didn't like it, I didn't,
Yeah, no, I get you.
And Curtis, you're right. Old stuff is definitely, a lot of the older stuff is better told. Now, I think some of the art style now and some of the things they do is better, or at least in some ways better. But yeah, I think the companies cared more back then, all the way down, and people would stay with stuff longer. I think it brought about something different in the product.
You think that's it? Or do you, I obviously, number one, you can't throw out the fact that we all have nostalgia to the old stuff. Like, that colors a lot of glasses right off the bat, good or bad. Like, you just going back and revisiting something, versus new stuff. Honestly, me personally, I think a lot of the problem with the new stuff is the fact that for the average fan, they say they want new stuff, but they don't want new stuff. Like, they don't want Batman to not be Bruce Wayne. They don't want Superman to not be Clark Kent. But, like, when you're, thousands of issues already published, 40, 50 years of stories, like, what do you do now with these same characters? It's this kind of this weird thing that we're stuck in right now, where it's like every time they seem to try and push it to like a new person or a new mantle or a new legacy, like there's that kickback. Like, no, we don't want that. Well, you said you wanted new stuff. Well, not that new stuff.
Yeah.
But then also, if they kind of try and go back to rehash old stuff, then people are like with the Crisis, like, oh, you've done Crisis. Why are you doing another Crisis? So it's like, how do you come up with something new while keeping it old, but also keeping it fresh?
Yeah. The new stuff gets new every year, especially DC. Yeah, Douglas, totally. I'm not trying to trash talk DC or the people who like DC. I fell in love with Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and some of the other characters through New 52, which I know gets a really bad rap, but it made me appreciate those characters. Like, of course, Batman and Superman were always, iconic archetype characters that I knew and loved growing up, but I never really read the books. But like, something with the way they DC especially, I feel, has a harder time adapting to a modern age because of there's something about the style of those, at least in my opinion. I'm not saying it applies for everybody, but they feel like they fit the best in the 50s and 60s, where things could be a little more clean line, a little more focused, like what the characters represent. And when you start, and again, this is just my opinion, when you start like getting Superman and Batman dealing with these, not that they can't deal with real world issues, but when that becomes their whole aesthetic or their whole story, it turns me off. I'm not a huge fan of the Frank Miller Batman stuff, or even necessarily as Daredevil. Now, I know they're vital and key to the success to a lot of those characters, and I'm not saying they're bad. I just don't like it. I feel like DC is the heroes that I look up to, and I would aspire to be those heroes. Whereas like the Marvel heroes is like, I want to be one of them. If that makes sense.
No, I got you. As far as timeline, I completely agree. I think that's why like Batman the animated series, like they were like that. Yeah, there was like technology and stuff, but then like the villains carried Tommy guns, and there were the blimps and everything. Like, I think that's a big part of it. I think comics do need to kind of be in their own world. Like, you don't have to have them, dealing with Y2K or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need to be modern times.
That said, I loved the new Batman movie. I thought,
still haven't watched it.
I like that significantly more than the Christopher Nolan movies. Those are beautiful movies, amazing performances, but I think they lose the comic bookness of Batman in those movies. And I think the new one with
Robert
Pattinson and all them, I think they did a really good job of bridging between a realistic view and modernizing it with keeping some of it's still more realistic than comic book, but I think they did a really great job with that movie.
True.
New Frontier is hands down my favorite DC story.
Oh, that's a great one too. Yeah, absolutely.
The way I feel at the end of reading that is just so, all the heroes kind of coming together and like rushing off the page in those last pages is just such a.
Now
it's almost Star Trek to Star Wars, DC and Marvel.
Well, that's kind of interesting too, like you said, because like that is literally them doing real world stuff, but it's set in that era, that right after World War II, as they're trying to navigate and everything. Like, so yeah, just take them out of time. And I put it for both sides. Like, whenever you put any superhero, modern, like, there's issues, in my opinion. Like, just give them their own universe, let them go. But yeah, I think at some point you got to move the story forward, and I think a lot of fans are hesitant about that, and so of course the studios or the publishers or whoever is going to be hesitant about it too, because they get kickback every time they do it, But you got to progress it. So
like even Why the Last Man. I don't know if you watched the show or read the book.
I read a couple volumes of the book.
So the book is, I mean, anybody watching this knows, like, I'm not trying to get political or shove anything down anybody's throat, but that book is very much about gender roles, because everybody that's got a Y chromosome in that book dies except for this one guy and his monkey.
Yep.
So like it's kind of a twist on the, like, oh, wouldn't it be great to be the last guy on Earth? Think of all the women and the writers, Brian K. Vaughan and the artists, they were like, maybe it wouldn't be as great as all the frat guys. No offense to frat guys, but like that kind of like, oh yeah, it'd be the best thing ever,
Right? Because what does it really mean?
Well,
when you break it down, we got to repopulate whatever. Like, there's
it's
not just orgies.
But the thing is, that series is not very old. It's only 10, 15 years old at most. Like
Sorry
when it
about that.
started, I don't remember when it started. The show, because again, not trying to force anything on anybody, but because gender identity and all that stuff has been blown up in public discourse so much in the last 10 years, I think, at least in a way, I'm more aware of it than I had ever been before.
Yeah.
They've altered things in that show that even modernized it from just 10 years ago from the comic. And it's just interesting me, like, that's a show where that sort of thing fits. Not that
Right.
you can't put that into other stuff, but like taking Superman, who stands for like truth, justice, and the American way, and now just truth and justice, and you're dropping the American way part. Like, I know that's a soft spot for some people, but like, it didn't work for a lot of people. I understand why they tried to do it, but it's one of those things where I feel, even with like, I think, yeah, it's just, yeah, when you modernize stuff, you're gonna lose longer time fans if you make it too different. And if you don't update it at all, and you just keep certain things in a certain way, and you don't get it right, if you focus on the wrong aspect of it, you're going to lose new fans.
Yep. It's a tough tightrope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I haven't written a successful comic book movie or TV show, so this is just my reaction and how I see people reacting to it. But
right. But no, then you got things like Invincible, right? Like, I actually think Robert Kirkman, like he took the same thing, like the Amazon's like, we want to do a series. And so he actually took the moment to go, okay, let's take a look back. What can I change here? And I think he has actually made it better. I think he fixed up some of the pacing issues, especially the early volumes. And, he made Amber like more of a character, a bit more fun than just the girlfriend. Like, there's stuff where tampering with it isn't always, George Lucas hacking stuff up. Like, sometimes he can actually use this to take him in and go, wait a minute, like, how have I changed since I wrote this? How has the world changed and everything else? And like I said, in Invincible, I think he made many, many right choices as to what to change. He moved some events around. And just it was a good opportunity for him to. What is Curtis's deal with Andor? Good Lord, man.
He likes it. He said he likes it. He just thinks it's a little slow.
Oh, apparently, I don't.
And that's fine.
That's fine. Curtis, go find Legends of Andor and let them know how you feel. Maybe you can start Legends of Andor, and take care of that, buddy. Get that looked at.
We'll start a hot and cold Andor podcast. Curtis, no, I'm kidding. What's up? My eyes are getting blurry.
Ostradamus.
Thank you, man.
Like
I was
Nostradamus, but Oz. So I'm assuming he's an Aussie from down under. I won't do my accent because I don't want to offend him.
Come on, now I want to hear it.
No, not here.
No, but no, yeah, it's.
Do you feel, kind of looping us back, we got way into the weeds on that one. Do you feel like there's too much right now?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, because with what I'm actually giving myself time to watch and do, no, there's other stuff I'd like to watch, but because my other hobbies have become a lot more engaging, like doing this and doing the customizing with Mythic Legions and things like that, like I'm enjoying that more, and it allows me to be more interactive with people. Whereas just watching a show is maybe I can talk about this with someone at work or something. So yeah, I know I'm missing out on a lot of great stuff, but there's only so much time I want to give to TV,
Right.
or
Well,
movies and stuff.
that's what I'm saying. It just, there is so much right now. I mean, there is just, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, like I can't even remember. I forget stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to watch that, and then I completely forget about it, and then maybe eventually I'll go back. Oh yeah, I wanted to watch that. Like, it's just there's so much coming out right now, and on the one hand, I feel great because it's like, whoever thought that we would get all these shows? Who thought we'd get a She-Hulk show? Which has been phenomenal. As it's one of my favorite of the MCU shows. I'm not caught up, but it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm
just finding the time.
Yeah. For me, one of the nice thing is, my mom lives in Florida, so some of these shows, during quarantine, we caught up on all the MCU stuff that she hadn't seen. So, so we got her. So now it's just whenever new stuff comes out on Disney Plus, or if I have a way to share it with her through the apps or whatever, we'll watch stuff together. So like that's become like a family time. So that's nice. So any of the Star Wars, any of the Marvel stuff, we watch. We watch Rings of Power, and which is nice because it's I enjoy watching those. I enjoy spending time with her because she's in Florida, so I don't get to see her very often. So, that makes it really nice. And the other stuff I watch is, yeah. Thank you, Oz.
And I was way off on that. It's just a nickname. Must be a big American Pie fan. From Baltimore. So in your guys' neck of the woods.
Yes.
He's right. Smack that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit that share. Come on, people. We're up to 11 people in live chat. Come on.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff. And I feel bad. I feel like Marvel, I just saw something like Kevin Feige said that he was starting to feel burnout or something.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And it's like, that's not good. He's the guy. I mean, there's a lot of people that make the stuff from Disney and Marvel happen, but he's kind of like the North Star or whatever, the visionary for everything. And if it's too much for him, like I think some of the stuff needs to slow down. The fact that like She-Hulk and Andor are out right now, the next Star Wars animated series is starting in a couple weeks.
Well, I think someone said like Werewolf by Night's out now too, isn't it?
That was fantastic.
Yeah, but I mean, this stuff's just coming, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, I didn't even know that was coming out. Just like someone on Facebook was like, "Oh, Werewolf by Night is awesome." I'm like, "Oh, that's out now too." Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, Curtis, I agree. Like, I like She-Hulk. I think it's a lot of fun. I haven't really been too disappointed with any of the Marvel shows. The last couple movies I have not really enjoyed. And I'm not saying She-Hulk is the best. Just like I don't think necessarily Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the best, but it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my favorite of the shows. Maybe Hawkeye. But yeah, I think, with stuff like Werewolf by Night, they can do some different stuff instead of just doing the straight up hero story. And I think that's what Marvel needs to do.
Yeah.
If they're going to keep putting out so much, make it a little bit different and not just,
And it's interesting too, because the last couple series, again, Miss Marvel and what was the one before that? Moon Knight. I thought there was one more in there. I could be wrong. Oh no, I was watching Kenobi at the same time. That's what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
But like, I watched them because I felt that there was something I was gonna need to see, and there really wasn't. And funny enough, like She-Hulk is the one where it's like, we're finally getting some tying in. We finally get, we've been talking a lot, but check out our off-world episodes over on the Legends of Grayskull channel, because we talked a lot about, Shang-Chi and how it seems like that really isn't like, where's it take place? Like, we were confused, and who knew She-Hulk was going to be the one to lock that down? You know what I mean? And it, another friend of the show, Matt Rodriguez, he made the good point of like, She-Hulk is the show that's most tied into the Marvel universe right now. Like, this is the one that's, dropping these things, these anchor points, this timeline stuff. And it's like, it's interesting that this is a show where they finally decide to start doing that again.
Yeah. Which makes me like not forgive the stuff that I've not enjoyed recently, but it's like, okay, maybe this was part of the plan. Like, I feel like they have a plan, and this one, I think part of the plan is to have us not fully know where it's going. Yeah.
But yeah, eventually they've got to get more of a focus
with the list of shows and movies coming out, and where we know they're headed with the next Avengers movies. Like, I feel like that I feel like they're setting up more stuff and they're making it bigger, so that when you get to those things, it has an earned payoff like Endgame did. You can't just copy the same formula.
No.
And I'm not saying you're saying that, but yeah, it's definitely kind of all over the place right now.
For sure.
And yeah, Ms. Marvel's definitely not for everybody. I really enjoyed her character in the comics.
I really liked the actress. And I felt that show missed a lot of opportunities. I felt it could have been a much better show. But the actress is really good. I'm curious to see her play off of I can't think of her name, the new Hawkeye. Blanking.
Yeah.
Completely. Kate Bishop. Yeah, you get Kate Bishop, Elena, and Miss Marvel doing some stuff together. That should be pretty fun.
Yeah.
As far as the series,
I liked it. Showed me something as a white middle-class American guy that I've not watched before in a TV show, and that's a middle-class Muslim family in America that's not being portrayed as the typical stereotypical stuff that we see in the media for those families. Again, I'm not saying it's not out there. I just haven't seen it, so I liked that. I really enjoyed that.
And I'm not saying that wasn't good for that, but that's not why I tuned into Marvel series. You know what I mean?
It wasn't why I tuned into it,
right?
But I was like with, you haven't gotten into Andor yet. There's things in Andor that
you're gonna make Curtis fall asleep.
No. That just, I really appreciate like some of the extra world building, like getting into these like side characters. It's not just Luke and the Jedi, or Darth Vader and the Sith, or the Wookiees, or what. I like some of these things, and so I like seeing things I haven't seen before. I like seeing things I have seen before, if you do it well. Like, everybody makes fun of Avatar for being Pocahontas or Ferngully or whatever. I'm like, sure. I really like that movie. I think it was absolutely beautiful in 3D. I can't wait for the next one to come out. Yes, but like, every story follows. So many stories are just other versions of other story. Every time I see a new video on YouTube or something, it's like, if you really think about it, Harry Potter is just Star Wars told more boringly. He lives with, his aunt and uncle. His true history is hidden from him about the death of his parent, and they go through this whole breakdown. Or like Toy Story and Walking Dead are parallels, and someone did a really interesting breakdown on that. I don't really care about Toy Story, but
I have to check that out.
And Oz, you're saying like the mentally ill superhero. Like, I watch a thing on YouTube called Cinema Therapy. It's one guy's a therapist, counselor, and the other guy's a filmmaker, and they talk about, what's up, Alexander? they will look at a movie
buddy.
or a show or a series and break down the kind of mental health issues of it, and the other guy will break down like cinematic things. I find that really interesting, dealing with mental health stuff myself. It's been nice and to see that, and then seeing things like Moon Knight where they'll break down, well, this is what they got right about DID, or the split personality disorder, or this is what this movie got wrong about it. And it's just really interesting when a show gets it right, and they seem to be pretty positive on the way Moon Knight did it.
Yeah.
Obviously there's the whole superhero twist to it, but
I still maintain the worst ripoff in the history of Hollywood is Disney's Cars. The first one completely ripped off Doc Hollywood.
I've never seen either one of those movies.
That's disappointing. But guys, if you're out there, Michael J. Fox, Doc Hollywood, early 90s, it's literally the same story as Cars. Like, the first time I watched Cars, I'm like, this is Doc Hollywood. And the problem is everybody I say that to is like, I've never seen Doc Hollywood. So they got away with it completely. But it's literally like Michael J. Fox. He's a doctor. He's heading for a big plastic surgeon job over in California. He winds up on some side roads and he ends up breaking a fence in the small town, and he's got to work it off. And like, it's literally beat by beat.
Okay.
Cars, and nobody talks about it, and it's horrible.
I've never, like, I'm more likely to watch Doc Hollywood than I am Cars at this point.
Yeah. And Doc Hollywood,
and not because of what you
does
just
it better, because Michael J. Fox.
Sure. But yeah, it's.
Thank you. And Alexander, go watch it. It's really good.
Oh.
All right, we got some Doc Hollywood fans in the chat. I love it.
Okay, well, here's some. Since we're talking about what is something. It doesn't have to be like super old, but something more than 10 years old or something that's more of a cult classic, maybe that you've not seen, that everybody talks about, and it any genre, any whatever.
Conan the Barbarian. It's the
Okay.
one that comes up the most, especially with Secret of My Success. Curtis, I love you. No one ever talks about Secret of My Success either. I bet Jesse's never watched it either.
I feel like I've seen at least parts of that one. If I have, it was only once and only part of it.
Jesse, that is the best Michael J. Fox movie.
I'm not
hands
saying
down.
It's not.
Curtis, for all you hate me, we're
So Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, Conan, like especially the groups I travel in, that's the big one where everyone talks about it. I'm just like, yeah, never seen it.
Okay. Do you have any plans to watch it at some point? Like, do you have any desire to watch it, or is it just something you've missed so long you just never think about it?
I have a desire to watch it just so people stop going, you haven't watched it, but that's like, I mean, obviously I've gone this long with all the streaming options, never having watched it, so obviously I don't have I would have too, Curtis. I would have too. Just not going to put that comment up on the screen, but
No.
Not blood, if that helps you, Jesse.
No, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's also, actor and actress in a movie and not actually blood related.
That's what I'm saying. They weren't blood, even in the fictional world, they weren't actually blood. So, but anyway. But yeah, I guess if I had a huge desire, I would have seen it by now. So I can't really say I have a great desire, but it is one that I'm like, I should watch that at some point.
I will say this helped me. I had never watched from beginning to end straight through the Christopher Reeve Superman movie until I moved back to Pennsylvania about 10, 11 years ago. And then Sean and I watched it probably 5 or 6 years ago.
I'm surprised Sean didn't force you to watch it many moons ago.
Sean is not that kind of guy. He's not like, you have to watch this. he'll talk about it. He'll tell you how much he loves stuff, but he's not like, you've got to watch this. Every now and then he's like, oh, I got to show you this clip of, something that, really gets me worked up. But like, so my advice is watch it with someone who really enjoys it. Not to the point where like they're like quoting it while you're watching it and you can't appreciate it, but someone who because my friend John has come over a couple times and watched movies that he did not really like the first time, and he's watched them with me. Not necessarily that it's changed his outlook on them, but seeing someone else appreciate it a different way helps him understand it a little different. So I don't know. Watch it with someone who likes it.
I'm sure I can find someone somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Curtis, that's what I get all the time. Yep. Although you spelled "and" wrong. So, there's that.
Wow. Really, grammar police on a YouTube show.
Yep.
Okay.
Curtis knows what he was getting into. Only Curtis. The rest of you guys are fine.
But see, I would say, yes, He-Man and Conan conceptually are in the same ballpark. Like,
right.
When you're spinning the wheel of movies or shows or, genres, like they're going to fall in the same pie slice.
Sure.
But they're very different. I mean, obviously the filmation is very different, but like just even a lot of the He-Man in general is yeah. I mean, Beastmaster, I would say, Beastmaster is probably closer to.
Never seen that either.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's very dated, but like it's a cool story, especially because it might be based on a book. I don't know, but it kind of comes out of nowhere.
I thought it was. Well, how about that too? Remember when you used to just be able to like catch movie, TBS would throw like random ass movies on in the afternoon, like you never knew existed. Like I remember the first time, I don't even know, Flash Gordon, the 80s movie, Queen soundtrack and everything. Like I maybe heard of Flash Gordon before, but like not like I didn't know who he was, but I'm just sitting there watching, and it probably was TBS, and all of a sudden that theme song blares and Queen Flash, and it's like
Defenders of the universe.
Yeah, and you're just blown away, and the Hawkman and Ming and all that. And it's like wow, and I would love to find a way to reclaim that. That just I have no expectations because I didn't even know this thing existed. I've seen nothing on it. Nowadays, it's like you can know the whole plot before you even walk into a theater. You have set photos from like day one. You've got synopsis online, and me, especially nowadays, like I used to seek all that stuff out for a long time, and I found it was hindering my enjoyment of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, I know all this already. What am I doing here? And so now I'm the guy who's like, I try not to watch too many trailers or too many photos, or, I don't seek out the big discussions because I'm trying to recapture a little bit of that, just like turning on the TV in the afternoon and like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem I think that might have a thing to do with how many people have a problem with stuff nowadays. It's because it's hard to just sit back and enjoy something anymore.
Well, yeah, because you think back like to like when The Rocketeer came out.
Right.
This came out at a time when, because I grew up a very conservative family, and we fairly conservative, not very, fairly conservative family. Like there was a hubbub in our family of friends, circle of family friends or whatever, over Disney. I didn't know at the time, but it was because Disney bought Touchstone, and Touchstone, or no, maybe it was Miramax. They bought a company that made R-rated movies, so everybody was mad that Disney was making R-rated movies through this other company. So I remember seeing a poster or the cardboard standee for The Rocketeer in the movie theater, and it said, coming soon from Disney. And because it had that like 1920s graphics look to it, and I didn't know what it was, I was like, oh, I bet that's one of those new R-rated things that Disney's made because I didn't understand. And I, and then I
Sure.
saw a trailer for it. I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
Right.
Miramax. Okay. Yeah. And there was all that hype because we didn't have the internet. I'm not saying the internet's a bad thing, but I'm with you now where I'll watch when the trailers drop for stuff. I'll watch. I don't mind watching a trailer, but I try not to go back and like keep watching it.
Right.
At one point I wanted to make movies and be a film writer and director and stuff. So I like obsessed over everything. And now I feel like I barely go to the theater anymore. So I just like, and Curtis just said the closest thing he gets is the straight to Netflix movies. You don't hear anything and then it's just there.
Right.
Totally agree.
And they're either good or they're bad or whatever. But
it's
you go a whole different experience,
Yeah. Like in our town, it's not a huge area, but like we kind of get the standard main trailers and stuff at our theater.
Yep.
And for about 2 years, because of COVID, every time I saw a movie before COVID hit, and then for so long after COVID hit, it was always trailers for the same like 8 movies that have now finally come out. But it's like,
oh, thank God Maverick's finally out.
Yes.
That one was freaking everywhere
and that was great.
Forever.
And that was a great movie.
Still never seen it. Not a huge Top Gun fan and never thought it needed a sequel. So
neither am I, but I liked the first one enough. Again, didn't watch it until like the last 10-15 years. But yeah, there's just something about going to like our local theater. It doesn't feel special anymore. So I feel like maybe if I just like hold off and go less and be a little more surprised by what I experience, it's becoming more fun again.
See, I'm on the opposite swing because like I had not gone to theaters in a long time, and just in like the past year, like even before COVID and all that, I had not, like maybe once a year, if that. So like I am in that upswing where like that's where it feels special, is going to the theater, where it's like, all right, this is
nice.
This is an event, and I haven't been going a lot, but like the Marvel movies, I've been trying to hit in theaters again.
Sure.
And, I wanted to hit Jurassic World, but I didn't get that, and I still haven't seen that. But
I enjoy that. I thought I have issues with it, but overall, for what it was, like I
think I will too. They've all been enjoyable. There's not one I've hated in the new ones. So
yeah. I like 2 and 3 less than any of the world movies.
Yes. And Oz, I don't know about your local ones, but like, and depend on your work schedule. But ours has a really nice like midday matinee where it's only like $8 admission. So, where I won't pay those. Well, I don't do 3D, and I don't do like the weekend or all that. Like, so yeah, I'm usually around like $8 to $10, which I don't think is terrible for a movie, but I know everyone's different.
I've got a friend here, Nate, a friend of mine from the comic shop, runs he's in the D&D game or he invited me to my first D&D game which we're finally, after 7+ years, we're finally wrapping up our campaign.
Wow.
But he and I we'll drive down to York to see our, we'll either see it in the IMAX or like that, whatever that DX, whatever with like the vibrating chair. Like that's how we saw Maverick, which was really cool.
Yeah, that 4D experience thing. Yeah.
So we'll go down there, which makes it a little more of an event, because it's like a 35-40 minute drive, go, there's like a cool restaurant down there, we get some good food and
make a day of it.
So, well, I
treat
mean,
yourself. It's
more of an afternoon or, an evening, but like it makes it a little more special. And, with not being in the theaters that much.
Yeah.
Most of the trailers are I maybe watched it on my phone or maybe my TV once, so I can't wait for Black Panther 2.
And how about no trailers are bad now, and there's a lot of trailers nowadays, but they got freaking commercials in there too. Why do I need to see Gwyneth Paltrow telling me I need to go to AMC theaters when I'm already sitting in an AMC theater seat? Like that bug. Take the commercials out. Put trailers, but like I don't need to be sold on AMC. I'm sitting in one of your seats right now. put that on national television. Let me get to my movie.
When I went back after the movie theaters opened back up, and like Nicole Kidman was there in her like raincoat.
Oh, that's it. Nicole Kidman. Sorry,
talking about how magical the movie theaters are and everything. And it's like I get it, but like
I'm here
at the same
you sold
time.
Me already.
Yeah, I'm already here, and this theater's AMC theater that I go to is not magical.
Right.
Like it was better.
Magical, but like
yeah. I'm very picky about my presentation. Like I stopped going to the one theater that's really close to my house because the audio was always off. I was like, and I'd go out and I'd tell them, they're like, oh no, it's fine. I go back in and I'm like, no, the audio's like, oh yeah, that one has some problems. We've got someone coming in to fix it, and it never get fixed. So I just stopped going to that theater.
Sure.
Yeah. How else is Curtis going to know how many JD Power Awards Chevy won last year?
Curtis,
no,
did we just become best friends? I think.
Well, I'm glad I could help broker that deal, but I love going to the movie theater. Like some of the movies are important, and I'm sure I'll get back to it, but the Marvel movies are the ones that are actually big spectacle or what draw me out now.
Right. We do a lot of the kids stuff. I got
too
many youngsters running around. So, I'm sure we'll be back for, we did Lego Batman, we did Spider-Verse, we hit everything. So
I don't know why this is
more often
a pathetic moment of pride, but I remember I would go Thursday nights. I'd get out of work. At the time I would get out of work at like, I don't remember, 9:00. And I'd go straight to the movie theater because our local theater would do like a 10:00 show for the movie that comes out Friday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They used to do them at midnight, but then it was after the guy dressed up as the Joker did that out in Colorado or whatever. They stopped doing the midnight ones and they bumped them up earlier. And then it got down to like 7 o'clock at night. They would do it.
Nice.
So I'd be like, cool. But I would go to the 10:00 show. And I remember I went to see the Lego movie, like the first Lego movie.
Yeah.
Is that it's the only time I've been in a movie where there was no one else in the auditorium.
I'm surprised. I mean, I get that it's predominantly kids. I figured it'd be emptier than normal, but somebody.
No one even came in the whole movie. I sat there by myself. Like I said, it's a little pathetic because but it's 10:00 at night. A lot of my friends around here are married, have kids or whatever. So like going out at 10:00 for a children's movie is not a doable thing. But I had such a fun time watching that movie and didn't have to worry about anyone else disturbing me.
Right.
It was nice.
I love it. Oh.
We're going to circle back real quick. You had talked about too much stuff and being able to watch stuff, randomly as a kid. But I remember now with binging and not every show, because like Disney's doing stuff an episode at a time. Amazon and HBO, they might put out like an episode or two at the beginning, like at once, and then give you, and then come out weekly. Like I like that format because I like that it draws out the conversation, and it's not. If you watch, like, because getting me and Sean to talk about Stranger Things, like, we all had to try to, like, sync up and get those episodes all watched before we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, as a kid, if you missed it, you missed it.
Yep.
Unless it came back on a rerun in the summer or something. Or, even later, with VHS, like, I could never get the VHS to, like, program properly. So I would always miss. It would always record the wrong channel or start 5 minutes late or whatever. So now it's a lot easier to stay up on things.
Sure.
And it was. So like it's a blessing and a curse because then there's just so much.
And I feel like comparatively, I prefer the once a week. I like the way Disney's doing it. I wish Netflix would adopt that more. I feel like it makes it more of a thing. Like Netflix stuff, like it seems like it's good. Everybody talks about it for a week and then it's gone for a year until there's more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like cliffhangers. I like the water cooler talk. Man, did you see last episode? Yeah, what do you think's gonna happen next episode? Like that sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I missed that. I didn't realize how much I missed it until these plays, like Disney. I think they were the first ones that started doing that again with Mandalorian. I'm like, shit, I missed this. Like otherwise it's just like, you see that season? Yeah, I saw a season. Because everything's wrapped up by now. Like by the time you binge it, there's nothing to speculate.
If you don't watch it the weekend or the week it comes out, by the time you get caught up, they're all on to the next thing.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, I like stretching it out. Like I like being able to go back and see stuff I've missed in binge to get caught up. But like when I know about something and I can get into it from the beginning, I like the weekly, or like I said, if they do like 2 or 3 up front to kind of really get you hooked. Like I know The Boys does that. Amazon seems to be doing that where they'll do 2 or 3 episodes now.
Yeah, they'll get a little bit to wet your whistle, and then you'll be like, all right.
Or it gets spoiled. Working at a comic shop, I would always try to watch everything. That's why I would go to the Marvel movies as soon as possible, because I didn't want someone to come in and be like, "Oh, did you see the new thing where like, Wolverine sticks his claws through Professor X's head and makes him talk like a puppet and sings the song from Lion King or whatever?" It's like, no, that sounds horrible.
Now, would that be better or worse than the live action movies that we got, Jesse?
We don't have time for that conversation.
Okay.
I will say, when I went to see Batman v Superman, I set up for the comic shop in the lobby. I had a table, nice. People were coming by. A guy who regularly comes into the comic shop, stopped by and talked to me. And I missed I couldn't go into the early show because they did like an earlier show. Mm-hmm. So tore everything down. I was getting ready to tear the table down, and the guy comes out.
Oh,
and spoiler, if you haven't seen Batman v Superman, I'm going to spoil the ending of it. He comes out and he's just like, "Oh yeah, I knew they were going to do that." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, when there's the funeral for Superman, they throw the dirt down there, but you see like the dirt start to rise up." And I was like, "Spoilers, man, I've been out here. You were out here and saw me when you went into the movie." He's like, "Oh, I'm not spoiling anything." I'm like, "You literally just told me the end of the movie. Like, I know Superman's not going to stay dead if he dies, but like,
right
now I know that happens in this movie." And I was just like, jerk.
Oh, for sure. We've all been there.
But
Deadpool 3. Hugh Jackman.
I gotta say, I was more excited for the like deadpan delivery of him responding to Ryan Reynolds. He's like, "Hey, do you want to be Wolverine again?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, Ryan."
Yeah, that's actually kind of the same, but like I'm not. Like obviously, Hugh Jackman was our Wolverine, live action, and one of the better parts of that franchise. I think even you can agree.
I totally agree.
Like, I'm more excited for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman to be in a movie together.
Yes.
Like, that's going to be fun.
I was okay saying goodbye to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. But with Professor X returning, albeit a different universe version of him in Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
And other things hinting at that universe existed somewhere. I don't mind them pulling some of those guys back, or those actors and actresses back for cameos or one-off things. I do hope they do their own thing with X-Men, and I hope it's not one of those things where they change it so much that it's not recognizable. And I don't just mean like cast, but like story-wise and everything. But yeah, I'm excited to see the two of them playing those characters at each other because Deadpool's so goofy,
right?
And Wolverine being so serious, I think that's going to be a really nice dynamic between the two.
No, for sure. Then that's the draw, and that's been the draw. Like I'm no huge Deadpool fan. I don't think I've ever read Now, I know I've never read a Deadpool comic. I might have read some stuff with him in it, but it's just fun. Like
Yeah.
they're just fun movies. Even my wife, like she watches the majority of stuff with me, but even she liked them a lot more than I thought she would because it's funny. You know,
Well,
Ryan Reynolds is a great actor. They're well written, and
yeah.
you know, it's just a good time. Sometimes that's all you need. I mean,
Yeah.
the best DC movie, in my opinion, that they put out is Shazam. Again, no huge like past with the character, history with the character. Just they finally learned how to have a fun movie, good effects, good acting, and I actually enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel
Shazam,
I didn't
great.
feel depressed as shit when it was done.
The
Like
scene where the
dog.
So no, it's fine. When the demons, the seven sins come out and they like destroy that boardroom, I was like, oh man, that
Right.
was and the whole opening scene with him as a kid in the car wreck, like that was pretty intense. I was like, oh
No,
man, this
no,
family movie started off on a real dark note.
no, it gets dark when it needs to. It's fun when it needs to. Like
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for anymore. I don't,
depending on how Deadpool 3 works, like if they do it under 20th Century Studios or whatever, and not like I don't know. I mean, I know they said it's going to be R. I don't see them.
Yeah, they're committed to the R rating, so I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all.
I think Logan, again, that's a whole nother thing. Great acting, great cinematography. I think they pushed the R rating on that just I don't know. I think that movie would have worked without it, but I feel like they over tried to sell, oh, this is an R-rated movie.
Yes.
But I want to see Deadpool, like I would love to see him calling out all the like comic book inaccuracies to Wolverine in the movies while still being impressed by Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Yeah. I'm hoping that a little bit of that and a little bit of because I mean, I'm assuming he's coming into the MCU. So I think that could be really fun too, where he's like, you're like talking to Ant-Man or something like, I don't remember you existing or something, like it's just a fun little stuff that only Deadpool can get away with this whole merger with
I don't know if I've said this to you before, but I want to see Deadpool in a bigger Avengers level movie as comic relief. Or the shock value that he brings. But I want to see him doing, because it's an Avengers movie, he's not the main character. So I want to see him like talking, breaking the fourth wall to an audience that's not us. So like the Avengers are making their plan and then Deadpool's over in the corner like, can you believe they're doing this without me? And like, we don't really know what's going on. And they're like, what's wrong with that guy?
I got you. Like he's just talking to the corner and they're like, wait,
he's breaking the fourth wall to an
it.
audience that's not actually there. Because in his mind, it's his movie.
Right. I like it. I'm kind of hoping they'll do a little bit of like I'm hoping they just drop him into the multiverse or into the MCU verse, and he's just like in the beginning, like, he's kind of doing the catch up, like, this is my third movie and everything. He's like, yeah, you're like, this is the Earth I've been on all along. He's like, remember when I helped fight Thanos? And it like shows like the big pan and he like pops up behind Valkyrie. He's like, hi, like inserting himself into all of these events. Like, oh, and I was there when Thor's hammer was out in the desert and he's there like pulling on it with Coulson or something. Like it'd be a fun moment, just do the quick little scenes where it's like, no, I was here all along, guys. Yeah. And
well, they did it in the comics. Recently, there was the Avengers. What was it? Avengers Never Surrender or Never something. It was an Avengers event with, and basically, who is it? The Grandmaster and someone else were playing some sort of contest, and they could pick people from Earth or whatever to fight in this. So they basically, the one guy like shoot his daughter into all their memories as like a character back to the 60s
Nice.
that they all forgot that they were supposed to have known. So like, yeah, that was
That'd
pretty
be fun.
interesting.
Yeah, they got
With
the,
Deadpool, it would be a lot more fun.
right. That's what I mean. It's a good opportunity to really have some fun there. Kick it off in the right ways.
Yeah, Curtis. Yeah, seeing Deadpool show up at the end of She-Hulk, I think that would be great. I doubt it'll happen, but I would love to see that too.
So if we can get the Avengers in a scene, and She-Hulk's like talking to the wall over here, and Deadpool's like talking to the wall over here, and they're both like, the Avengers like, what's wrong with them? And they both look at each other like, who are you talking to? Like my audience,
or like she's doing like a thing to the camera, you know, like, oh, the Avengers are here, I need to go help them, and then you just hear like the is like the camera gets turned around, and Deadpool is like, no, this is about me.
Right. You're with me.
Physically pulls the camera over.
Why? It goes to follow She-Hulk, and he like jumps in. It's like, hey guys, I'm going this way. Oh, so much fun could be had.
Yes. Oh man. Well, now I'm just thinking like what we do in the shadows, where they like leave the camera crew down in that reservoir, or like down in the pit with the guys that are going to get exposed to the sunlight.
I didn't see that movie. So.
Oh, it's from the show. So it's like a mockumentary, you know, kind of like The Office, where the film crew's there, but they're a little more interactive in the show than The Office was.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they, you know, like I think one of them gets eaten at one point by like a vampire. But I mean, like Deadpool accidentally kills the cameraman.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet, to be honest with you. That's
all
right.
Yeah. You got any? I heard a rumor was supposed to have a cameo movie. Oh. Alexander's saying that Deadpool would start having cameos in every movie, kind of like Stan Lee.
I think that was a big fan speculation when Stan passed. I remember hearing about it a lot back then, kind of lobbying for it. I'd be down for it. Like, just him popping up randomly. Absolutely.
So stuff coming out. We got all
sorts of stuff.
Black Panther 2 is the next, I think the next big thing this year.
Yes.
In like the week after Legions Con. Which unfortunately I won't get to meet you there.
Nope, I will not be at Legions Con.
So
I was planning on going, but unfortunately, back when I first got into Mythic Legions, you know, I was talking to some buddies on another show about it, and I made the comment of that Mythic Legions didn't have a story, which I meant to mean it didn't have any, like a comic book or a movie or a TV. Like,
sure.
That's what I meant. But there was this one guy that I won't name names, really high up in the community, that like completely trashed me up and down on his YouTube channel over the comment and did a whole episode because of me. So now I don't have anything to do with the Mythic Legions community because of that one guy. No, I kid. Jeremy
lies
Gerard
and
is
slander.
a great guy. But the rest of that did happen. He did do a whole episode.
I heard that episode, and I heard the episode. I heard both things.
Yeah, my comment in his is
it's much less dramatic than.
No, I definitely played it up there. And I love Jeremy, and he was right. It was a poor choice of words on my part. They definitely have a story, just not one that's presented to you unless you're buying the toys, which I had not been at that point. So
sure,
that's
sure.
Love you, Jeremy.
I'll let you run with this one first. Oh, I don't think he watches my show.
Namor.
How do you feel about Namor in the? I'm assuming in the Black Panther trailer.
Sure. Namor is one of those characters that's just always been there, so why not try and make him a little interesting, And if obviously they're setting, I don't know, is Namor even from Atlantis, or do they have some in-universe name for it? I mean, it is Atlantis, but I can't recall if they call it Atlantis.
I believe they're calling it. I think they're going off of kind of like the Mayan or Aztec Mesoamerican theme, so I think there's a different name for it. But there are some theories in the real world that speculate that the place that whoever the Greek writer that wrote about Atlantis, some of the descriptions they think might have been referring to some of the Central or South American or whatever, like cultures in their structure.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're gonna sink Atlantis there, like, makes perfect sense. Like, I got no problem with it.
I think he looked great. I mean, he's not as like slim and slender as like the classic comic books make him look, but I think he looks formidable. I think he looks like a cool opponent.
Yeah.
The weird spot in the last trailer where we see him flying, like the physics of that looked off. So hopefully that's one of those things where it's not a fully rendered shot yet and it'll look different in the actual movie. But I mean, someone flying with wings on their feet is always going to look weird no matter how you do it. So, but I think it looks great. I think the actor seems, at least in the trailers, I think he's got like a really awesome presence on screen. So I'm excited to see what they do with him.
Agreed.
And Curtis is asking, are you getting the Mondo Battle Cat?
I really shouldn't. I don't know. They haven't released a price. That's what I hate most about Mondo. They wait to release all these details to the last second. Because last I saw, there's still not a price. We got a date now, October 25th. I don't know. I shouldn't, but I want to. But I shouldn't, but I want to. I was able to secure the He-Man that they released. Unfortunately, I had to miss out on the She-Ra because they released them a freaking month apart, which is what those things cost. Like, come on, guys. So, I don't know. We'll see. What about you, Curtis? You getting it?
He says he's guessing 400 to 500.
That's. I'm hoping for 350. Like, I think 350 would be a really nice price point for that, but I don't think it's going to get that low because that thing is massive. I saw it at the last Masters Focus PowerCon. 2021. Mondo was there, and they had it wasn't even painted yet, but it was the test shot in the gray in the cabinet. God, it's gorgeous. And it's huge. It's freaking huge.
Yeah.
It's detailed. It's got all these extra parts and pieces and heads. And
if it was coming out next year, like, I don't have any Mondo stuff, I would consider getting it just because Battle Cat's always been one of my favorites from MotU, but coming out October, not a chance for me.
It's tough. I was hoping like tax time, like that would have been like March next year. That would have been really nice.
Yeah,
but, we'll see. So Curtis, are you an all or nothing type of guy? Is that what you're saying? Like, if I can't have Battle Cat, I can't have any of my stuff. If you're looking to get rid of Mondo cheap, hit me up. There's one thing I do well, it's cheap.
For a reasonable price.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to throw out? Any plugs, any recommendations?
I'm just gonna pimp ourselves for a minute here. Definitely check out Legends of Grayskull Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, anywhere. We do the video on YouTube, and then audio is pretty much anywhere you can stream audio podcasts. if you find you have a podcast app that you can't find us on, let me know because I will get it on there. I've done it before. And then we did also just launch our Legendati Facebook group, which is a private. People have been asking because we had a public group, but people have been asking for a while. I know some people aren't comfortable flying their geek flag as loud and proud as some of us do, and that's fine. I was that way for a long time too, pretty much until I started the podcast. So people have been asking for a little more private area to share some stuff. So it's a private group. Just search Legendati. Skellyvator did write it out for you there. It's Legend ATTI. And it's the only group that comes up. But yeah, Legendati, our secret society supporting Legends of Grayskull Podcast. You'll see me, Jesse, Sean there, Skellyvator's there. Curtis probably thinks he's too cool for that because but Steven's in there. Curtis,
There is a poll going on right now, or did that close up?
It was supposed to close up, but I haven't closed it yet because I did want to promote it here. Thank you. We are designing a new logo at the moment, and you guys, if you go join, can vote on that until whenever I close it down, and help us decide what font to use for our new logo. So it's a lot of fun. You'll see some exclusive stuff first. Curtis, Steven Bashatti's already joined, so I don't know why you're not in yet.
Well, I think he's waiting for Steven to take over your show, so then Jeremy can take over that show.
So true. So true. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, hang out for a second. I'm going to bump you out. I'll wrap this up, and then unless you need to take off, but I'll be with you in just a sec. Thanks for joining me tonight, Matt.
I appreciate you all. Bye now.
All right. Hang on, Matt. I'll be right with you. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight on Shooting the Shelf, episode 14. Unfortunately, not 9. I was supposed to get Matt for episode 9. But Numbers and I don't get along, and he said that, and I wasn't keeping track of numbers, so I had to reschedule him. I am going to make an announcement earlier this week because I feel not that Matt is not a massive guest to have on the show. I feel like next weekend's guest is one you're not going to want to miss. Not that most of you here don't miss, and if you do, you catch it on the replay, which is totally fine. But next week, it's not Corn Boy, so don't get too excited. But it'll be a fun guest next week. So I'll do my promotional and reveal a little earlier this week just to give some people more time if they want to try to be there for it. So I had a great time talking with Matt. I'm glad he enjoyed and that his son enjoyed the figures I got to paint for them. Those were a lot of fun. I will have a lot of stuff to show off at Legions Con in just a month, and I can't wait to meet all of you who are going to be there at Legions Con. And if not, I'll catch you next week on the shelf here on Just Shelve It on YouTube. I don't usually promote myself that well because I'm not super worried about numbers and all that. But yes, if you would like to hit that like button, subscribe, that would be really cool. And I guess that's it for now. We'll catch you next time. And until next week, what's on your shelf?